Well, each year, approximately 650,000 dogs are euthanized in the United States, and that's why Susan Patterson started the rescue organization Thank Dog I Am Out, bringing sheltered dogs from California to homes here in Vancouver. And she joins us now with Jennifer Toy, a foster Thank Dog I Am Out, and of course Virgin Radio's Jonny Staub, media ambassador for a wonderful organization. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
We were talking about those statistics, and you said that could even be a little bit on the low side, that number that you mentioned too. So why is this program so important then?
Well, for us, it's because when we started, the need for dogs that were under 30 pounds locally was really the demand was huge. And so I just started myself trying to find a dog. And we always encourage people to look locally first, because that's the responsible thing to do. But really, you know, so many people want dogs. So we just started to bring them in. And then I educated myself on the actual number of dogs that are surrendered into the shelters, and no fault of the shelters, because they can only house so many. They have to euthanize them because more come in than go out.
By the way, this is Hendrix.
This is Hendrix.
And Lola's over there.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Jonny, you've been involved with this organization for 5 years now. How big of a problem is this when it comes to strays in California?
You know, it's huge. And the thing, too, is, you know, we have our own local issues. Obviously, we've always said, you know, look locally first. But if there is a need, a greater need around the world, why would you not look? You know, we're looking at all these tragedies happening in the Bahamas. It's like, oh, as Canadians, we have our own problems. We're not going to help you. No, you have to look inside yourself, inside your heart, and say, okay, let's see what we can do locally, but also let's help internationally. And that's why, you know, the problem is so big there, that if there is a chance, like the event that we have coming up on the 21st, to help out, why wouldn't we do our best and give these dogs a second chance?
Right. And I guess because surely a population is probably an even greater problem down there too. I mean, California has as many people as Canada does as well, let alone the rest of the United States. So later this month, you're going to be saving about 40 dogs?
That's right. Yeah.
About 40 of them.
Yeah. It's a huge event, and we're so excited. And this year it's so different, right, Susan?
Very different. So I went down with my rescue partner, Debbie Bloom, in Los Angeles, and we handpicked 40 dogs from what they're calling high intake shelters, but it's still the same definition, is that they have to euthanize a lot, so a high kill shelter. And we selected 40 dogs, and then we partnered with Best Friends Animal Society. They brought them up. Mercedes-Benz gave us a van. We brought them up to our partners up in Canine Valley, the best trainers. They have taken on our 40 dogs for 30 days. Yeah. So what we decided to do was to look at why are so many people having trouble with their rescues once they adopt them. And that's because these dogs have been neglected and disposed of. Then they're put into what we would consider a maximum security penitentiary, being a shelter. Yeah. And then we bring them into a new home, and we have these lovely adopters who want to make a difference, and we hand them this dog that has trauma. And so we, as an organization, said, how can we help and then they have a bad experience. So how can we help the adopters and the dogs have a successful experience? So this experiment sort of was to take the 40 dogs, place them with our amazing trainers in Squamish. They were assessed, decompressed, socialized, learning. Some of them you couldn't touch because they were strays and hadn't had collars and stuff. And they've graduated to these colors of being adoptable. So by September 21st, they'll have been out of the shelters for 7 weeks. They'll be walking on leashes. They'll be ready for success. And the adopters are going through a whole process of being ready to accept these dogs. So our goal is to have, at the end of the day, a happy experience. When you go home with a dog, you don't have to deal with the panic after, when some of the real tendencies show up after the trauma has subsided. And people, most of those issues we can fix, but people see them as very scary, and they want to give the dog back.
Tell us about your experience in terms of the adoption process.
So we started off as fosters for Thank Dog I'm Out. Lola was a last-minute foster. She was our second one. We ended up being a foster fail, I guess. We adopted her over this summer. We couldn't let her go, but it's been a great experience. Thank Dog I'm Out does a really great job in doing the background checks on owners, doing the home checks, and then following up to make sure the dog is a good fit for the home.
And getting back to some of the issues that could surround the dogs too, I think that's why people sometimes are a little reluctant to sort of adopt dogs, because they're, what if I get a dog who's reactive or doesn't like people or doesn't like kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you're looking at an application, are you looking for things like that? Like what type of person, what type of home comes from? Do they have children? Do they have any other concerns?
Oh yeah, like in depth. In depth.
And what's cool too, Mark, is that now that we have this Squamish, facility, Canine Valley, we can assess them. So if you do come to us and you say, well, we have kids, we can say that might not be the right dog for you. This is the right dog, versus just taking home a rescue animal and being like, I hope it works. We've really vetted the process and made it a much, much better streamline.
The application deadline is this Sunday, September 15th. The event, as you mentioned, Jonny, September 21st. Where is that again?
Landmark Aviation, which is the West Building South Terminal. It's the private terminal. We've been there it's our seventh event. And we're having a big party first because the dogs will be arriving in red carpet style.
Awesome.
So the general public can watch the arrival of the dogs, which is a big surprise, and then the actual adoption event is private. So the general public will not be involved in the actual adoption process.
But you can definitely come to. There's going to be food and entertainment. It's going to be so much fun as you can see these beautiful animals arrive and getting their second chance.
And these are two of the most well-behaved dogs I've ever had on the show. You know, they're great. You guys are great.
Yeah, and you know, they didn't start out like this. So there's so much potential.
All you need is love, right?
Great examples. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thanks,